You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Ian, look at this.
What, it's a police box. What on earth is he doing here? Well, these things are usually on the street. Oh, feel it. Feel it, you feel it?
Faint vibration.
It's alive.
Earth Station Who, a fun mashup celebrating nearly 50 years of the Doctor Who universe. Hold tight. You never know where the TARDIS is going next.
You're probably a bit confused right now. I broke the glass. It's all come back to me.
What is this?
That's my ship.
What?
Let me take it from the top. Hello, I'm the Doctor. I'm a traveller in space and time. And that thing buried down there is called a TARDIS. Time and relative dimension in space. You're gonna love this.
Hey there, Facebook. Hello, listeners. We're in both. We are live here on Earth Station Who. Howdy, howdy, ho. And happy February, and Valentine's Day is right around the corner. So we thought it would be kind of fun to do Romance on the TARDIS. Kind of controversial, kind of fun, and I think this will be a real interesting topic. And we have some amazing people here to join us. Joining us as guests, of course, let's start with Angela Pritchett, the Geek Girl herself.
Hi, everybody.
And we're also joined with Melanie Dean.
Hello, everyone.
I think every time we do a live one, I think it's almost a prerequisite that Melanie's here with us.
Yay!
It's a good
I'll do it.
It's a great thing, so it's pretty awesome, and we're glad to have you here.
Hey.
And, of course, we have our regulars, too. Of course, we have Ms. Mary Ogle.
Hi, everybody. Great to be here.
And, of course, Mr. Howdy himself, Mike Gordon.
Howdy.
So, Romance on the TARDIS. You know, this is going to be an interesting one to talk about. And, you know, we'd love to hear from folks at home or on Facebook. Please join in the conversation. Feedback at Earth Station Who is always our email. But, of course, we have our Facebook group, Earth Station Who. And we are broadcasting live there. We're also going to be broadcasting into the Earth Station 1 page and also onto the ESO Network page and also group. So you'll be able to find us in a couple different places. It should be a ton of fun, though, to talk to folks. So this is going to be interesting, but before we do get started on this, we have a big Doctor Who news. No, we have not heard the announcement of a new Doctor, but we did hear that Jodie is pregnant today. Mm-hmm. She showed up to an award ceremony, and she actually had a baby bump. So it was kind of hard to, miss that.
Died.
And so this is baby number 2 for her. So congratulations.
Yay.
Yay!
So it's pretty awesome. So I'm impressed. I think it's going to be, it's good for her now that she doesn't have the pressure of being the Doctor anymore. She can take time to raise a kid and such. And I'm sure she's always working. So I'm sure she'll be, we'll see her in something real soon. I heard there's rumor going around that Attack on the Block 2 is going to be starting up too. And I wonder if she's going to be involved with that.
Wow. Yeah.
So it should be very interesting to see because, it was always fun. It was fun when we went and watched it and got to see, oh, there's Jodie. Hey, and there's the guy from Star Wars. And there's, so many different people in it. It's just awesome.
The guy from Star Wars, he was so good at that movie.
I know. John was awesome.
He was so good at it.
I know. Yep. The guy from Star Wars, This is a Doctor Who podcast. If this was a Star Wars podcast, we'd have, we're talking about John and, that lady who played some kind of character on Doctor Who.
One day, you never know.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool. I wouldn't mind seeing him as a Doctor. I think
good thing also for her having, kind of showing off her baby bump. That'll also help the rumor mill a little bit from the people who have those little high hopes that she's suddenly, she might come back. Maybe she will.
No.
Now,
No.
definitely not considering the Doctor Who filming schedule is everybody all in, they own you, that kind of thing. So yeah, that will, that should squash those particular rumors quite well.
Oh, very much so. And this also probably squishes any rumors of her coming back for the 60th anniversary special, too.
Man, we're about to talk about, romance in the TARDIS, which is controversial enough. Can you imagine a pregnant Doctor? They would just blow their mind.
Oh,
Yeah.
Now suddenly I'm like, RTD, do it.
I already see the angry rants online.
You know who
Start that rumor right now.
You know who was most heartbroken about the news that came out today? Yaz, I'm sure. Yaz is completely heartbroken.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, good Lord.
I know. I had to go there. Sorry.
And that killed the conversation.
Wow.
Just like,
Good night, everybody. We'll see you next time here on the
I
podcast.
have a feeling that's going to happen a lot during this conversation.
Yeah, probably.
I almost guarantee it. I almost guarantee it tonight. There's going to be a lot of death conversation tonight. But it's going to be interesting because, truthfully, romance on the TARDIS has pretty much been around since Doctor Who started. And, Ian and Barbara, right off the bat, there was a connection with them almost immediately. And, they were colleagues with school teachers, but, as they traveled, they got closer and closer, and they never full on had, a romance on it, but it was pretty obvious.
Yeah, it was pretty obvious.
I think you could also argue, though, that the Doctor himself, setting up Susan as his granddaughter, implies that he's had a family, right? That he's had experience with some sort of romance, right? That he's had children, and they've had children, et cetera, et cetera. So he's not beyond that sort of thing. Although it's hard to imagine William Hartnell as like a romantic lead, but
how do we know that on Gallifrey they didn't have arranged marriages or something?
Well, it's true, but at least they are having relations,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
They don't keep regenerating over and over and over.
People.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Well, for
they could have all been clones.
For Susan to fall in love, with David, and that it was the Doctor locking her out. At least, that should show that, Hartnell's Doctor had the concept of love. He understood that, how important that would be for her, to off you go. Enjoy
he
life.
did value romantic relationships.
Yeah, and he wasn't above using that tool because I remember in the Aztecs, he's kind of flirting with a woman to get some information and to get on her side.
Mike, they had hot chocolate together.
They did, right? Like back in the day, that's racist.
That was a big deal.
Congratulations, you're now betrothed.
Exactly. Boom. So, I don't think it was their intent. I don't know. I don't know what their intent was. But right from the beginning, they established that the Doctor is capable of having a family and is capable of having relations. And I think it's only afterwards when we get Troughton and especially Troughton and Baker, where you're just like, they're not romantic leads at all.
No, not at all. And even John Pertwee, because he had feelings, of course, for some of his companions. And, they even hinted.
Yeah, they must have implied it at one point.
Yeah, they did. And, we're going to be talking about that in a few weeks when we do the Green Death. So, we'll find out a little bit more about that. So, it's just interesting to see, the Doctor as a romantic figure. In the old series, I never really ever saw that. I always thought, the Doctor was pretty much either above that or just asexual in some ways, And, you had the companions, doing the companion stuff and everything. Because even the Fifth Doctor. And it was interesting because, having Peter Davison, who came from, All Creatures Big and Small, and he, was pretty much played a wild man on that show, coming to playing, and then him coming on to being the Doctor, who was pretty much a very straight-laced type character. And
yeah, you would have thought if anybody, they would have, not with his companions, obviously, because they're children, right? I mean, he's with children, basically. And for the most part, that's true of almost all his companions throughout his tenure, right? He's always the oldest one by far. Right. So there is always that dynamic, but, yeah, I'm kind of surprised that during Davidson's run, they didn't sort of have a storyline. But I think at that time, they probably already established that. I guess they just didn't want to do that. And I don't know if it was because, I don't know if they thought that the kids wouldn't be interested in that sort of thing. We don't want to make it like EastEnders, soap opera-ish, because, this is more science fiction. This is more action. This is more in Hinchcliffe era. This is more horror. But they opted not to have that as part of the storylines for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's interesting that it came about that way. But with Davison's Doctor, it was he had Tegan, Nyssa, and then later Turlough and Perry, because Adric was Adric.
We're just dismissing Adric.
Exactly.
The secret love affair between Five and Adric.
Wow. That's fan fiction I never want to.
Fan fiction that probably might exist.
I'm sure it exists somewhere.
Oh.
I don't know if man, if someone's shipping those two, I don't
That's
know.
scary. Yeah.
That is scary. That's really scary.
It is kind of scary, and it's like even then the Doctor's I almost said the Doctor's romance with the Master, but but it was a bromance. That's
Bromance.
A bromance.
I could have seen
that was more the Master and the Master and Missy.
I could have seen Misty and 12. Yeah.
Yeah, it could almost work.
Almost work. What are you talking about?
I guarantee you there's fan fiction out there.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
We're going back to...
It's interesting because, especially with the Time Lords being able to change sexes and everything, there was one theory I had seen that possibly, that the Master and the Doctor were either siblings or even something like maybe even husband and wife, it almost seemed like. In
or
some
like
way.
teenage lovers or something.
Yeah,
growing up.
Exactly. And it's very possible. So, it's possible. It could have been. And
I mean, they could have had a really nasty breakup, and maybe that's why
that explains everything.
It's like big nemesis.
Just been so bitter since then.
It would make sense.
Don't laugh about that, because it's always a possibility. So it's just, and it's funny too, because there is there's so much they could actually do with that, and it would be very interesting, because I have an ex-wife. I know how I fought with her for a long time. It felt like a lot of times the Doctor and the Master. So.
She would follow you across space and time to make your life miserable.
Yes.
Frankly.
Well, yes, she did.
My exes.
As a matter of fact.
Well, yeah, it was that bad at times, but yes, very much so. So it's possible. And then you got into the Sixth Doctor, who was in love with himself, and Nobody
else was in love with him.
No, because he wanted to strangle his companion. Oh, wait, he did strangle his companion.
He did.
Yes. So
let's introduce this Doctor. Strangle you.
That's not a helpful.
And it actually went downhill from there.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely did.
That was the high point of their relationship.
Starting in a hole, and they just kept digging.
And digging. Poor Colin. Thank God Big Finish saved him.
Yes. Go listen to Colin's Big Finish. They're great.
Yes.
I think what opened up the idea of romance for the Doctor, anyway, in particular, was the Fox movie with the Eighth Doctor.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Because there were two definite things about that. The Eighth Doctor is one, the silly thing about him being half human, and then him having obviously a romantic relationship with the companion.
Grace.
So what you're saying is
Grace
the Americans ruined it for everybody.
But we are good at that. We're very
I'm not
good
saying
at that.
I didn't say it was a bad thing. I'm just saying that door was open there. I'm not saying it was a bad thing. To be honest with you, I'm not one of those people that believes that the Doctor shouldn't be in any sort of romantic relationship. I think it's fun to play around with that. The Doctor can be anything, so why take that off the table?
I'm gonna bring back a Star Wars reference for you. Imagine Yoda with like a 20-year-old. That's kind of how I reference the Doctor with one of his companions.
Yes.
Hey, look, as long as they're consenting adults, what does it matter? I mean, the Doctor is...
I think it does matter if there's an uneven power dynamic like that.
But it's always going to be the case because the Doctor
No, it's
is older.
not.
The Doctor
I don't think
is
that it's like that with Ripper.
Yeah, but the Doctor is significantly older than her.
It's not the age. I'm not saying it's the age. I'm saying it's the power.
The personality-wise, the thing that's weird is that 11 seems so childlike that it is reversed. The dynamic as far as that relationship goes is reversed, and River seems to be the one in charge, although... to be honest with you, with all of the Doctors that she interacts with, I find that they have the least amount of chemistry.
She in 11?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
especially romantically, because like...
I kind of feel the opposite.
Yeah.
Because like when they get married, that whole scene where they're getting married just feels empty to me. It doesn't feel real.
I felt that River had more chemistry with 12.
Yes.
Yes. I agree.
Yes.
I agree.
And which is crazy because that was one episode, maybe two,
but it was
technically two, right?
Yeah, it's true. But that whole scene when the 12th Doctor turned to her and said, "Hello, sweetie," I was like, "I'm not crying. I am not crying. Nope."
It also just shows how much like amazing chemistry those two actors had, and I need to see them in more stuff together.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree with that.
And so, it was good. But, it's interesting. Paul McGann's Doctor did open the door for a romantic Doctor because before that, the Doctor was more of like a father figure or a brother or, type thing. And now they open the door that, hey, we could snog the Doctor or we can, more than that. And, then when they brought the new series around, you then had started introducing, you introduced Rose. And like I said, I loved Rose and the Ninth Doctor. I thought the chemistry between them was awesome. You then got the Doctor and Rose with the Dr. 10, and that became Googly Love Affair Doctor. And, I wanted to throw up in my mouth all the time with that.
I was fine with it.
Well, I'm glad you were. I'm just saying I was not.
I know. I know.
I found it very annoying.
You have made your stand on that perfectly clear.
As well as sure.
I was fine with it. I was good with her going off into another dimension, all that kind of break. My issue was more between the unrequited kind of thing between Martha and 10. Because to me, I think it detracted from Martha becoming a stronger character.
Yeah, that was hard.
Because it was like the other side of the sword of we had that unrequited thing, and that she just kept pining for someone that didn't like her, and that almost became like not just like a subplot. I mean, not like this little tiny little subplot. It became like a big part of it, like and how Martha carried herself and how her decisions were being made, that she was making was based a lot around the, her having googly eyes.
Oh, very much so. And, as we like to say, we've called Martha this before. She was the rebound companion. Yeah. And, and she had no chance. But at least she was the first one to, in the new series, really to leave on her own. She said, "No, I'm not staying here with you." She was strong enough for it.
That's the beauty of Martha to me. If she had stayed that way, I would have been frustrated. But instead, she learned and she actually left, and on her own terms. And I felt like that made her one of the strongest companions I think I've ever seen. I really like Martha a lot. because I think we went through that journey with her.
And between her and Rose, she actually did seem to find happiness, because when we see her and Mickey, they seem happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I don't want to talk about that guy though. I don't think that was a great pairing, and that was before I learned about like Noel's behavior.
Oh yeah.
I just felt like that. It felt like the producers were like, "Hey, they're two people of color. We have to put them together."
Yeah.
Oh, that pissed me off when I saw that.
That's
because
that's what it felt like.
That just made me angry. When
especially because at the end of Martha's run, they kind of set it up that she was hooking up with that guy she met in the last storyline. The one who was a doctor or something. And it was interesting, and I thought that was such a waste of a character and everything, and it kind of ticked me off. But then I was glad to see when Donna came on that they didn't have any kind of romantic angle at all. They made fun of it, and that's what was really awesome about it.
Especially after you had him with Rose, and then you had him with just kissing left and right. I mean, he had Madame de Pompadour, then the when he became human, when he was Joan Redford.
Yes,
yes.
So then you had that.
Was such a great
one.
Story.
Oh yeah, it was absolutely amazing. It was a great story, but
Human Nature.
But then you had, but it was just, you always had that doctor tending towards romance, and like Astrid with the Titanic episode. Again, great episodes, but there was always like this element of romance in it. Mm-hmm. So on one hand, I kind of looked at like the 10th Doctor was always just constantly, I mean, even to keep going, like Queen Elizabeth, and he was the Casanova doctor.
Well, I mean, yeah,
he was Casanova.
He's going through his flirty years.
Absolutely.
Well, and he was more human than a lot of the other doctors. So it also made it more accessible to them, and maybe that's why people found him cute and such. But they also wrote him that way too. So from the very beginning.
Well, I mean, and it was a perfect storm of having David in that role at that time. I mean, that would not have worked with Matt. That would not have worked with even Peter. That would not have worked with a lot of the actors that have played the Doctor.
It wouldn't have worked with Chris at all.
Right.
I'm not sure it always worked with Tennant.
Well, I don't think it always worked, but I mean, I think that's just the way his Doctor was. So I take that as a possibility, and I'm, I don't want to see that repeat, because I like the fact that the Doctor constantly changes. But I'm glad that we got to see that play out at least once, and that was on the table.
Well, it was funny too, because right after the regeneration into Matt, pretty much came Amy Pond, who was flaunting herself all over the Doctor. And, and the Doctor was like, no, this is not me. And I love the scene in Amy's bedroom at the end of the Angel storyline. And Amy started, attacking the Doctor, and the Doctor was like, no. What is this? No. And he almost felt like, and you said it earlier, Mike, Matt's Doctor was more childlike and also more innocent in some ways.
I don't think
or more alien.
Well, and I don't think it's a coincidence that, he uses Troughton as his basis for being the Doctor. I mean, they're both very much alike that way, in that they're very childlike and asexual.
I always thought of the Doctor as asexual, like I said earlier. But then they started bringing in River more heavy at that point, because she was introduced at the end of the Tennant run. But, River played very heavy through most of 11's run. Mm-hmm. And it was always, the time traveler's wife, who was River Song and everything, and they were going backwards and forward, not, only meeting up at certain points in the timelines.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it established that River was conceived on the TARDIS?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, talk about romance on the TARDIS.
That was one of the reasons why she was part Time Lord.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
She got regeneration powers supposedly because she was conceived in the time stream.
Right.
But, now that Mr. Chibnall has thrown in everything about the timeless child, that got thrown out the window. So it's, basically very interesting to see what is happening with that and everything. Because River had a series of regenerations, but she ended up also giving it to the doctor. So, and we lost Melanie.
Oh, no. Whoops.
Ah!
Whoops. Oh, no.
Exactly.
She zigged when she should have zagged.
Dan Holyfield, actually, on our Facebook page. Hi, everybody who's there tonight, by the way.
Howdy.
Wrote, not good to be snogging your mother-in-law, LOL. Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. And it was interesting too because they went through the whole thing with Eleven and Amy and River and Rory and Amy's choice type thing too, which made it really interesting. And I don't think there was ever a chance that Amy was going to just choose the doctor. It was always destined that it was going to be Rory.
Well, they set it up really. Oh.
No, go ahead.
Okay, they set it up really good, because it was the night before her wedding. They're showing it as cold feet and everything, but then it just kind of spirals.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, exactly, because she goes with him the night before, the marriage, and that was part of the interesting thing. And everyone thought Amy was crazy because the doctor was her imaginary friend growing up.
Right. I think also you've got that. I mean, even though maybe in Amy's mind, the doctor might have been occasionally in first place, Rory always has that weight that he feels like he's in second place a lot. I think so. That's an interesting journey as well, because I think it's not until after the Pandorica where he's like the centurion, right? Where he waits all that time for her and all that he really establishes himself as an entity that can compete with something like the doctor.
Oh yeah, very much so. And that was what was interesting about it was, Rory was almost like there as fodder in a lot of ways.
He does get killed multiple times.
Yeah, he was the Kenny of Doctor Who, basically.
But yeah, I really liked Rory's journey because it and that romance actually made sense in its own weird, timey-wimey way.
Yeah.
And why Amy ultimately chose him in the end. I mean, right. Rory was very worthy of being chosen.
Yeah,
very much.
I think it was worthy from the beginning, but
but he didn't realize.
Right,
that.
Exactly. He didn't realize it because to him, he'll always be the nurse to the doctor, so to speak, second to the guy underneath. So I think that that journey, and I don't think Moffat gets near enough credit for skillfully juggling all of that throughout his run that he did, because that is really a complicated relationship that the four of them have. And it has some bumps to it, but I think it was really ambitious, and I think he pulled it off.
But we also...
No, go ahead.
We also see Amy grow. Like at the beginning of that show, she's kind of like a naive teenager, and by the end, you've just seen her grow and adapt as a character to the point where she's kind of mature enough to actually, realize that Rory is the one for her.
Mm-hmm.
No, agreed with that. And it's interesting, too, because I think both of them, both Amy and Rory, grew quite a bit during the series.
Yeah.
And even through, they did between I think it was the season, the seasons where Amy, between the seasons where they ended up leaving, and they did a series of shorts over the summer, and it showed Amy and Rory actually splitting up because Amy couldn't have children, and she knew Rory wanted more children, and she wanted him to live a life and everything. Because when the season came back, if you didn't watch the shorts, they're like, Amy and Rory split up? What? You know, you were shocked about that.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I like the way Stephen Moffat did it. And when Amy marries Rory, it feels very earned. I mean, it feels very real. Whereas with something like Martha ending up with Mickey, like RTD drove me crazy doing stuff like that because it just came out of the blue. It was like, well, Martha can't be happy. She can't be a complete person unless she has this relationship with this guy. And the same thing with Donna. In the end of time, you show Donna getting married because, God forbid, she should be able to exist on her own.
Only man Donna ever needed was her daddy.
Yeah.
Wow.
I will
he's awesome. Okay, I would have watched a whole series, whole season of him in the TARDIS. Okay.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. You're not wrong there. I'm also going to throw Moffat under the bus, though, because as good as that it worked with Eleven's tenure, he totally drops the ball with Clara and Danny.
Oh, that's for sure.
Oh,
yes.
And the guy that's only there to be a plot device.
Exactly.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
It's just it. Yeah, he's almost worse than Mickey.
I was so excited. I thought we were going to get a Barbara and Ian again. I was so excited.
It would have been great to have the two teachers, you know, I would have loved it. And then for them to kill him off by a traffic accident, you know, hit by a car. It's like, what?
What's the most mundane thing we can do to this guy? Because he's made him that boring. What's the most mundane thing?
And after they built him up too, you know, like you got to meet their descendant and everything in the space station or on that other planet. And it was just like, now that can't happen because of, you know, wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. And so that's a paradox right there.
The whole thing of the doctor not liking him because he was in the military.
That was stupid.
Yeah, that was really stupid.
Awful. He should have respected him because he was such good friends with the Brigadier.
Well, exactly. And that's what was interesting about it. And no, it was just crazy that they had that kind of relationship. Danny was interesting that, you know, they did that. And Clara was not after that point, she was not an interesting character anymore. And I also felt like, you know, she was supposed to leave at that Christmas special anyway. And, you know, Jenna then decided, I want to stay one more season. I was like, no. And everything. So, but that pretty much after that was the last time we had romance with the Doctor.
No. You think Moffat botched it up in his last little bit. Chibnall says, hold my tea. He's like, I'm going to put something in there that's going to completely throw everybody
into
a
you were mad at Moffat.
Exactly. And it's like...
Yeah, but before we get there, we have a couple comments through the Facebook
with
group.
my tea.
Yeah. Well, like our friend Ramona actually in the group said the Dream Lord episode made them take a look at Amy and Rory's relationship.
Yes.
Which was an awesome episode. If you know, I don't think we've reviewed that one.
Oh, we really need to.
Yeah, I don't think we have.
That's a great one.
Mm-hmm.
That is a good one. And then then Dan Hollyfield wrote the moment when the Doctor is testing Rory, Auton Rory, and Rory hauls off and punches the Doctor. She is to me. And then, you know, and then that was when Rory finally believed he was worthy of Amy.
Yeah, good call.
And
Yeah.
I like that. I think that's completely true on that one. I agree with that tons. All right. Thank you guys, the folks in the Facebook group. We appreciate it as always. All right. Let's jump into the Chibnall era. I'm doing that very tongue-in-cheek there, folks. And, yeah, you know, the relationship between, you know, the Jodie's Doctor and, you know, Graham. Like, what can you say?
Yeah, they were so obviously in love.
Yeah,
it was.
They have sort
Who
of
could resist Graham.
No, I can't.
The man kept sandwiches in his pockets. That's
they seem to have dialed it back so that, the Doctor is once again sort of asexual. Because I don't think you see anything from Jodie at any time in her run that she has any sort of romantic.
No, it's all coming from Yaz.
yeah. All those signals are just coming one way. They're just going one way.
Talk about unrequited love.
Here we go again.
Yeah. Yeah. She and Martha should form a club.
God.
That would be an interesting club. There we go. But it was interesting, though, too, because truthfully, Jodie's Doctor is very oblivious to everything, any kind of real human, response to, she did have that time when she didn't respond, how to respond to Graham and his cancer. And then you had the whole thing, Dan calling her on it about.
That's what I really like.
Her feelings for.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. I mean, not the feelings part, but I love the fact that Dan called her on it, and the fact that she knows. It's not that she doesn't have these feelings or she doesn't recognize them. She's just pushing them so far down.
Right.
She just doesn't want to deal with them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, true. And the thing is, we've missed out, we haven't even mentioned the Doctor's greatest love, which is the TARDIS. We had the Doctor's wife, and, the TARDIS and the Doctor have had a relationship going on for over a couple thousand years now.
A long time, yeah.
Yeah. And, according to Chibnall, the TARDIS has been around longer than the first Doctor. So.
Even you have that scene.
So it's the Doctor. So it's the first Doctor.
But they've always had that they played a lot of that in the New Who era when you had Sarah Jane come back talking to Rose, and they were both joking about 10, with the Doctor talking about, the TARDIS, and sometimes you could see him just sitting there, touching it, and do you need, and how they both kind of commiserating with the, do you need me to leave? That kind of fun little thing back and forth. And then you get to have that taste again with Idris saying, "Oh, he calls me sexy." And, Amy just like, did you wish really hard? I mean, really, really hard.
That was such an awesome scene.
It was. So, yeah, I think that's the other extra little romance that's always happened in the TARDIS, and that's the Doctor in regards with the TARDIS.
Yep. No, exactly. And it's interesting, too, because, you look at all the different Doctors and they have spent so much alone time with the TARDIS, And even kind of makes you think.
And even with River, like, you still don't even know how to handle her correctly. You have the brake on.
You've been driving noise with the parking brake. But I like that noise. I like the which is awesome. But it's interesting because, someone actually in the Facebook group posted that they felt like that secretly Sarah Jane was in love with the Doctor. And
not with 4. Not with 4. I don't
get that vibe.
I don't get that. I mean, they're really good friends. He even says, like, I think he even calls her, like, you're my best friend or whatever. And they have a very platonic relationship, and it's very healthy enough for both of them. I love that relationship.
Like when she was in that vent and he starts yelling at her, at first he realizes, okay, right. Come on, you silly girl, you stupid, thinking that you could do this. And then she basically knows that if I rile her up, she'll, get that strength and keep kind of crawling out. And the second, he's turned around grinding and he's pulling her out. He's like, oh, I know you did a great job. And to me, the intimacy of that was just very, very like either sibling like, or, like a mentor mentee, it was very, it didn't come from a romantic kind of that bond that was being, portrayed.
Yeah, a very best friend style.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
If it was a romantic thing, she would be popping out, "You bastard!"
She was hitting him, but it was still that sense of love wasn't romantic in any sense.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I don't think I've seen enough of her with the third Doctor to be able to establish that relationship.
That was very much more a mentor,
right?
Oh, very much
like so. Relationship.
But I will say that, and Tom's a weird one because Tom, his doctor seems above that sort of thing. You don't really get a sense of it, but we know, quite frankly, from behind the scenes that Tom was not that way. Tom was very sexual, I should say. And I think for the first time we have behind the scenes a doctor and a companion who are romantically involved.
Well,
and yet
that's who people usually talk about if you're talking about romance and Tom. It's Romana.
Yeah. Well, that's because of behind the scenes. I don't know if do you feel that that's true on screen?
I can see the vibe there. I can see why people would say that.
Yeah, but you could tell when it was going bad.
Yeah, you could really tell when it was going bad.
Each other at all. That was almost scary how cold it was in that room.
I'm not saying the show implied it. I think it was more what was going on, yes, behind the scenes.
Imagine being the boom operator for that. You're like, okay. You just sit there holding.
Exactly. Right off scene.
Because the mic doesn't cut off. You're still holding it. It's just the recording bits. You're just...
Right.
How
You'll have that headset on.
No, that's the scary part about it. That you could see totally it gets tense right before she leaves the show, and it's just interesting because they were so cute together, like in City of Death and everything.
City of Death, you're right. They do kind of play around with each other, and it feels flirty.
Yeah, I think that's where it comes across most.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah. It would have been interesting, though. I love what someone wrote in the Facebook group that it would said, I still would have loved to have seen River show up on one of Jodie's episodes, Yaz asking who River was and Jodie answering, she's my wife.
That would have been hilarious.
or even a picture of her and Yaz being like, oh, who's that?
She's pretty. Oh, that's my wife.
I mean, 12 had the photo of her on his desk.
Oh, that's
when
true.
Bill first showed up.
I just kind of imagine a very haphazardly taped picture to the console in the TARDIS.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. But, some of the companions, though, were very, sexual. And, I'm mostly thinking about Captain Jack. And you can't think of all right completely. Captain Jack.
It's the opposite of asexual. The polar opposite.
I mean, him and River seem to have the most libido out of any of them.
Yeah.
Which I always did enjoy. Jack saying anything, just introducing himself, and the doctor stop. You're like, I'm just saying hello.
I think even River has a line. She's like, no, too far. But Jack's blows through that line.
Nope.
I'm just going to flirt with everything.
Yeah.
Captain Jack is the bull in the china shop, and he'd probably sleep with the china shop. So there you go.
I mean, we've already established that phone boxes are sentient beings, so why not china shops?
Exactly.
Well, yeah, there's a diner out there that apparently. I mean, did any of us ship the diner in the TARDIS?
Wow. And that's the interesting thing, though, truthfully, is, you have, all these different, characters and such in it. And do you see, especially with RTD coming back, and he was very much a proponent of romance in the TARDIS. Do you think that's going to be a feature in the new series?
Won't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised at all. RTD's look at everything he does. Everything he does has a romantic quality to it. I would not be surprised at all if that's an element. I don't think it's going to be the main element, but I also don't think it was an accident that, David's one of the most popular doctors ever, and he's also one of the most romantic doctors ever. So, certainly the BBC and it would love to have that kind of hit on their hands again.
And
of course.
And the funny thing with, again, going back to the 10th Doctor, he was the most romantic, but if you stop and think the episodes where he was being romantic with people, the Astrids, the Joan Redferns, those were letting the character be romantic, but he didn't make it so that RTD didn't write it so that he had these long-term relationships with each one of these characters. So he could show that maybe you could have the Doctor be more romantic and have these kind of, interpersonal, relationships with people, but they don't necessarily have to be long-term companions and such, like with that happened with Rose.
I mean, but at the end, some of them just died. So
I know, yeah.
But hey, oh darn, move on to the next one.
I mean, almost all of them just died in one way or another. So,
is that really the kind of idea you want to be like? He can have a long distance relationship. They just can't stay alive.
Well, I mean, you're talking about a being that's thousands and thousands. I've lost count.
They didn't even make it an hour.
That's true. Just blink and it's done.
Don't blink. You don't blink.
Well, you always wanted to find out how, Jack lost his body.
No, I don't.
So,
we actually don't.
Nope.
How he becomes the face of Boa.
Nope. I don't. That's not canon in my head.
Nope.
It's going to happen now. Hold my tea.
Oh, yeah, right.
It's going to be in a sexy now.
Yeah, we're going to see it now. We are so going to see it. But then, I loved it when, truthfully, I loved it when Jack came back, and the first thing he did, he gave a big-ass smooch to Graham.
Calls him a silver fox.
Yeah. Like, oh, you silver fox.
Well, I mean,
I'm just like, wait, what?
It's as close as we get to anybody flirting with 13 as well. I mean, when they are in the prison together or whatever, and he realizes who she is or whatever, he gets. But I think, and I think it's true for Barrowman. I think that's just his manner. Like, he just looks like he's flirting with everybody when he talks.
He is flirting with everybody.
He is flirting with everybody. And that just came naturally with Barrowman. So, because look, they even carried that over into Torchwood, which was very sexual.
Oh, yeah. That was like big sex in Doctor Who universe.
Yeah. No, I remember when it first was airing, William was upset as hell at me because I wouldn't let him watch Torchwood because, it was too adult and everything. And because at the time, I think he was maybe at the most like 7 or 8, and he was loving Doctor Who, but he was way too young to watch Torchwood. And he was like, Dad, why is that Cyberman wearing a bikini? Because I had the Cyberwoman action figure. I was like, oh, that's Torchwood. You can't watch that, kid. But I wanted to, it's like, and probably now it's like tame in comparison to some things, but it's interesting, and it was neat to see, Rose got her doctor. She got Dr. Hand, basically.
Don't. Yeah, I don't. You're not. That's no good.
No, I love it, but but she, she got that, and. It's interesting, they could be having their own adventures because they got the little seed that would eventually become a TARDIS or something, so they could be traveling that universe.
I mean,
happily
ever. If Rose is like any other person that during this time has killed about 1 million plants, that TARDIS didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, touche. It's funny. Dan Hollyfield wrote, Torchwood got too adult for me, LOL, and I'm 64.
I'm going to say this, and not that it's a fair balance, but I will say this in Chibnall's sort of not defense, but sort of on his side, that one of the things I liked about the Flux storyline is I did like the relationship between Vinder and Bell. I thought they were a cute couple, and I definitely hope that we see them in other adventures, Big Finish and all that, because I thought they were fun.
As long as they're not the Doctor's parents, I am fine with
yes,
that.
as long as they're not the Doctor's parents. Says yes, that would be
That
fear is
great off shot one Big Finish story too. It's so great.
It would be interesting to see what would happen with that. Character-wise, I like them, but I don't know what they had to do with the storyline all that much. But a lot of people said that.
Yeah, I'm not rating the story here, but those two the characters I did find compelling.
Yeah.
Now I'm really afraid because I did not hear that theory about that's the
you hadn't heard that.
Oh, you hadn't heard that?
Heard that, and now I just have this deep-seated fear and going, "Oh no!"
No, I don't know. I think it was. I personally think it was fans just over speculating. But
I hope.
Obviously, I mean,
I'm scared.
The fact that the Chibnall's kind of backing away. If that was something that was on the table at one point, I don't think we'll ever see it come to fruition.
Okay, good.
I don't know. He's got 2 more episodes.
He's got two more.
He's got
two more specials.
He's got 2 more specials to.
And I mean, I don't think he
to screw it up.
doesn't care.
We're going to have a lot of retconning next season.
Well, he still has to bring back half the universe, and
I don't think he even cares about that.
Hey, we're getting Graham back. That's all I care about.
That's all that matters.
You're going to get Graham back as the Doctor's regeneration, and you'll just get a flash of him and a flash of Ryan, and then the rest. So,
yeah, there's no mention of Ryan, but ouch.
Look, as long as I get more dad jokes from Dan, I'm good. I'm good.
It's funny. Judy loves the dad jokes also.
More beating up aliens with woks and frying pans and more dad jokes. That's all I need.
Yes. His parents are amazing.
His parents were fantastic.
Quite frankly.
Yes.
I thought that was great. And honestly, I love the heck out of Dan and Cavanestra. That's like the weird.
The chemistry between the two of them was awesome.
It was awesome. Throw Graham in that and just let me see a show of those three just sniping each other.
There's your spin-off for RTD right there.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Well, and we also, I also appreciated the Yaz gang in that storyline too. Having that,
Dr. Jericho.
Yeah,
Jericho
was great.
I thought they would make.
He was my favorite character of Flux.
So.
He really was.
But and we haven't even mentioned the Paternoster gang. Speaking of romantic couples,
Do you imagine those 3?
Yes.
And the other 3 from Flux together?
That would be awesome.
There you go.
They could.
There you go.
Right? I think historically it might match. I don't know. Maybe. Big Finish, get to work on that. Figure out the logistics. Make that work.
Please. I'm ready to buy.
That would be pretty awesome. But yeah, there's a lot of, possibilities still. And no, as romantic characters, Madame Vastra and Jenny were awesome.
Yeah, they're a great couple.
They were amazing.
Yeah. With their little,
they were a strong couple.
Their little baby or pet baby Strax. I don't know what you call it, but
they're potato.
Their little potato. Their little potato.
You are a potato.
Butler guy?
Exactly.
Hangs out with them?
Oh man, they're great. I love their Big Finish stuff. I think we got one of those coming up pretty soon, right? We're doing one of those?
We do.
All right.
We do. Melanie actually got called out by Dan Holyfield.
No, what happened?
He said, Melanie, that was his fear all throughout Flux, but it was left unresolved when Flux supposedly ended about the Doctor being the baby.
I'm so now petrified by this.
Sorry, we've ruined your life.
Sorry.
No, because
night is ruined.
You know what? No, because if that does happen, the amount of sheer anger that would have been flowing through me, I would have been force lightning would have just come out. I would have just turned into the Emperor, just complete with those little eyes, just because I just
yellow
like,
pupils.
Because just the whole amount of retconning that Chibnall likes to do, and the I'm going to see how I can blow people's minds now, like. No, we don't have to do that. That just for me, that alley, just oh my god, the Venn diagram for that is just a circle.
We
will call it the Timeless Child.
Right? And we're calling it the Timeless Child, and everything is in flux. We don't know where I'm like, oh God, this is what we're all been walking towards.
And we better abandon it here.
I'll go down with the ship.
She just doesn't know any people following him around with red markers. No.
Click. Nope.
No, and
watch me turn that television off. Nope, never happened.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure even if Chibnall gets his way, RTD's going to come right out and go like, yeah, that didn't happen.
Wobbly, timey-wimey.
He's going to have the doctor wake up from a dream.
Right. Like, she's in the shower the next morning.
Crying.
Yeah.
No, I agree. It's interesting though, because you have so many ways the rest of the season can go, and going into a brand new era, I just hope we're not screaming at our screens for in October.
Well,
better not. I mean, if that's the case, I'm with Mike in the it better just we wake up into a sequence, and if Bob Newhart isn't sitting
the doctor's been in a coma for the last 2 years or something.
Yeah. It was a dream within a dream within a dream.
The fact that Chibnall has yet to prove to me that he is capable of sticking the landing.
We all know he's not.
The next two are going to be kind of rough. Maybe not the next one.
I figured out how they're going to bring Tennant back as the doctor and Rose as the companion. He's going to wake up from a coma, and Rose is going to be there sitting next to him.
Right, it was his dream.
And all of the other incarnations were just a dream.
None of the other incarnations are real.
Nope.
It'll be the 10-2 doctor waking up and we're looking over at Rose because I had a weirdish dream.
And then the next episode of Earth Station Who will be the trial of a Time Lord.
Actually, it would be even better if he woke up in the museum and Tom was over him. Like, hello, what happened to you?
Hello.
I would pray for the curator to save this, please. Pull us out of this painting. It's terrible.
I was the one who brought up that, this whole thing that they've been in the Matrix the whole time, and, and it was the master, showing a possible, thing that whole last season never even happened.
They have.
Makes you wake up because I'm going to need a lot of those.
They've kind of done it occasionally, but really, I think Chibnall opened the door to a multiverse with the Flex storyline. So it is possible that.
Well, even before that, with the Fugitive Doctor.
Right, yes. Right. I mean, there's been other universes, other pocket universes and stuff like that before, but I think he's really laid the groundwork. And multiverses are hot right now. Like almost every franchise has one. So what's to stop Doctor Who from
We're gonna have variant doctors now? What?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Just if one of them's wearing a horned helmet, that's all I care about.
The next Doctor.
One of them needs to be, oh my gosh, what kind of cute, one of them needs to be like a capybara doctor. I think the animal doctors were getting this.
An adipose doctor.
Yeah. Ramona just said on the Facebook group that the TARDIS is infected with dream crabs.
Oh, no.
Wow.
Are we going to have dance sequences now?
Yeah. And Alan Seiler actually wrote, Vastra and Jenny were a strong couple. One was bossy and domineering, and the other was completely subservient.
Hey, whatever works.
I would totally argue against that, Alan. I don't think that's true at all. That's not true.
Like, Jenny was like a ninja.
She wasn't subservient.
I mean, she played a role when she wasn't, like, kicking butt.
Yeah. So, it's interesting that, everyone sees these as different ways. Some people love the 10th Doctor and Rose. Me, not so much. But where I'm going with this is, for me, if I wanted to see a Doctor in a relationship, it has to be the 11th Doctor and River. I loved seeing that. And, or River with anybody, I loved seeing, it was more of a believable relationship.
It was more of an equal relationship.
they established that River and 12 had 11 years on Beryllium. Like one night was
26 years.
26 years. Yeah, it was something crazy. Yeah, sorry, it was something crazy. But then, so that just opened up to any time, adding more. Either, I don't think they're going to be grabbing Peter and Alex anytime soon. But Lord, if they wanted to, they could, or at least Big Finish could, or they can at least write in little throwback lines to build that.
Yeah, because they mentioned so many adventures that we never actually saw too.
Well, hell, she could just be going to the bathroom at the restaurant. That's where we get the Diary of River Song or something, on Big Finish. Because, honey, I'll be back.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, they could do that.
And then we get da 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 da.
Yeah, I'm not going in that bathroom.
It was another TARDIS.
I will say, as far as the Doctor goes, I do think that that's probably, out of all the episodes that I've seen, out of all the stories that I've seen and read and whatnot, I do think the 12th Doctor and River in that special is probably the most romantic I've ever seen him.
Mm-hmm. Agreed, and that both actors play it wonderfully.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everything. Damn it, I might have to watch that later tonight.
Those two actors, their chemistry was so good.
Yeah,
yes.
They were amazing together.
Very much so. And I wouldn't want to see the Doctor travel through time with River all the time, though, either. I like that she just popped up every once in a while. I wouldn't want to see the adventures of Mr. and Mrs. Doctor.
I'd like to see like a 4-episode miniseries.
Sure.
I can handle that. Like, not a lot, but River's very independent too. She wouldn't want to be there all the time.
Well, yeah, and the flip side of that is, and then one thing I keep complaining about when we talk about the Diaries of River Song is that too many of her adventures are the Doctor is a shadow or looming or part of it or whatever, and I wish that they would just have adventures with her without him at all. But maybe we still got a few more to go.
Yeah. Well, and she's more than strong enough as a character to carry that off. There's just no reason.
Very much so. But, going back all the way to the beginning, I think Ian and Barbara would be great to do Big Finish adventures of the two of them after they left the TARDIS. I think those would be great. And, depending on who they got playing them, because what we just did I think season 6 of River Song, and it had the actors who played Ian and Barbara from the, The Adventures in Space and Time movie. And they were also doing it for the Big Finish. And I didn't feel any chemistry between the two of them at all and everything. I didn't even think it was all that great.
Mm. Well, to be fair, it's harder to do that on audio. But yeah, those were not the best portrayals.
So, let's go around real quick because we've been talking for over an hour already. Woo-hoo. This flew by actually a lot faster than I thought it would. So, who's your ultimate TARDIS couple? If we had to, because since Valentine's Day is coming up, and we have to be somewhat romantic. Yeah,
we have to be.
No, not really, but I'm trying to be nice to the folks out there who actually are that way.
Well, like I said, if people want to dial up a Doctor Who story for Valentine's Day, I don't think they could do any better than the Husbands of River Song.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Mary?
I have to go with Husbands of River Song. But River and Anybody, I think, is one of the best romances. But really, I think the greatest romance in Doctor Who is the Doctor and the TARDIS.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, I was going to say the Doctor's Wife.
Yeah.
Yep. That is such a great story. Neil Gaiman's awesome story. So I would have been like, yeah, okay, yes. Angela, anything?
I would say the Husbands of River Song, or I really loved Voyage of the Damned and Kelly Minogue and David Tennant playing this. Astrid and the 10th Doctor. I really loved that one.
Yeah, I'd like that one too. Mm-hmm. That's pretty awesome. All right, Melanie, take us home.
I'm going to go, even though everyone else is picking out things that I had in my head, and I'm like, I got to go different. I'm going to pick with Girl in the Fireplace. I'm going to go Bittersweet. I'm going to go sad.
Madame Pompadour.
Madame Pompadour.
So
and I'm going to even go with at first I thought that, and I do like the Doctor and Rose. I do like them a lot, and I thought that was a good little episode as well with Rose. And I felt like that they were more married than anything with the horse, and that the bickering at each other I thought was fun. So I'll go with Girl in the Fireplace.
That's cool. I loved that one. That was such a good story, and she was such a great character. And it was just like, I would have loved to see more of her if possible. And, there was talk of her coming back even at one point. So, but alas.
Well, they did the little short trips with her.
Yes.
She narrated over during COVID.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That is very, very true. So it's interesting to see. Could be very curious to see where the new seasons coming ahead of us are going to take the Doctor, especially with RTD. And I'll be, curious to see, and very curious to see where we are next year or the year after. Well, next year probably nowhere, because I think we're only going to still have the 2 episodes of Doctor Who to go through. But it'll be very interesting to see what we have and who we end up with. And is it going to be a male doctor? Is it going to be a female doctor? It's going to be just, doesn't matter. It's going to be fun to see, and it's going to be awesome that way. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for this one. And I think we covered this one pretty well. And, let's thank everyone for being here, of course. Mr. Mike Gordon, thank you, sir.
As always, it's my pleasure.
Mary Ogle, thank you.
Oh, thank you. It was great fun.
Anything you want to promote?
You can find me at maryogle.com or on Etsy at eVision Arts.
Awesome. Melanie Dean, thank you as always.
And as always, thank you. It's always been a pleasure to come on here and chit-chat with some of my favorite people. Talk Doctor Who.
Yay. Anything you want to promote?
You can find me on my social medias, Pieces of Melee. And just anywhere on Etsy, that's where I'm at.
She does some amazing artwork, folks. Definitely check it out. She's really an awesome person, too. So it's pretty cool.
Stop it.
And Ms. Angela Pritchett, thank you for everything you do on Earth Station 1 and all the other stuff. Do you want to promote your books real quick?
Yeah, you can find my Doctor Who unofficial Doctor Who cookbooks. They're both right here. You can find them on Amazon at Shut Up and Eat and Shut Up and Eat Too. You can also catch me on ESO every week on A Geek Girls Take, and you can find me at these social medias on TikTok and Instagram.
Yay! Definitely check her out, folks. She's a great cookie too. She's awesome. So, and happy Valentine's Day to everyone who celebrates that kind of thing. And, you can find us here, of course, at Earth Station Who. We're available on most social media platforms. And, of course, anywhere fine podcasts are found, Earth Station Who is there, too. We're right next to them saying, hi, listen to us. So definitely check us out. We don't listen to us on Stitcher, though. We're staying away from that. But, everywhere else you can listen to us. Spotify, Stitcher, nobody listens there anyway. But so it's pretty awesome. But I do have some very interesting Earth Station Who news that I think would be pretty cool. And it's a big thank you to the folks out there listening to us. Because you know what, folks? We got proof finally that people are listening. We on Good Pods is a streaming service. Earth Station Who ranked number 33 in the top 100 science fiction chart.
Ooh,
wow.
We also ranked number 38 in the top 100 TV review chart. And we ranked number 93 in the top 100 fiction chart. So for podcasts.
Just made it.
So congratulations, guys. We barely made it, But we made it. Damn it. Or as Maxwell Smart, made it by that much. So it's awesome. So thank you for listening. As always, feedback at Earth Station Who is the way to get to us. Thank you, everyone who has been listening to us on Facebook. Thank you, everybody, of course, at home for listening. We love you guys. And you know what? We're going to be back again in 2 weeks. And we got a good one for you. We're going back to the 10th Doctor era, folks. And we are looking at the waters of Mars.
Ooh.
It's going to be a lot of fun. So just remember, don't drink the water when you're there. So that's all we have to say. But until then, my name is Mike Faber on behalf of us all here. Thank you, everybody on Facebook who's been participating. We love you guys. And you know what? We will see you all soon. Peace, and we are done. Bye. Bye. See ya.
You have been listening to Earth Station Who, a bi-weekly pop culture podcast dedicated to all things Doctor Who, featuring talent from across the universe. All topics on the show are the sole opinions of the individual and are used for entertainment value alone. You subscribe to our podcast up on iTunes, Stitcher, or follow our blog at www.esopodcast.com. You can also follow us up on Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. If you enjoyed the show, please leave feedback up on iTunes.
In the Cosmic Pizza Podcast, your pizza delivery guys, Dan, Sean and Paul, serve you a slice of life. We talk to women in comedy, voice actors, film directors and producers, authors. We also talk about conspiracy theories, the Muppets, our top 3 films of the decades, famous people we confuse with each other, and our favourite stand-up comedians. We have recast Star Trek the Original Series and Babylon 5, and created our alternative superheroes. But most of all, we have had so much fun doing it every 2 weeks.
2 weeks!
The Cosmic Pizza Podcast is not about the cosmos or about pizza.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.